would like to share with you how would you upgrade your MPC life into something that's much more yours than the one that comes from the factory. So I would do that by changing what's on the internal SD card into my content. So first of all, I tear down the device. Here is the backplate. It comes off if you unscrew everything. Just mark which screws you use, which you don't. Which screws go where. And once you take off the backplate, you can see this small, it says 10.2 gigabyte SD card slot. So this is where all your factory content go. I would like to exchange that. Okay, so I'm booting up the MPC without its backplate. You can see it's starting, but also it's kind of slow, and once it loads into OS, you know, changing between main and menu would take quite some time. But also I would like to show you how internal memory structure works. Also, you can see it's already past 40 seconds, and it's been a minute since I've booted it up, so it kinda, you might think it's bricked, but it's actually it actually is not. So it just takes a lot more time to respond. Also, the touchscreen is not as responsive as it once were. Okay, it runs on a battery, and you can see I'm touching the touch screen, and it kinda takes quite some time to respond. So there are no internal drives here. Interesting, Okay, let's get back. Okay, so browse, shift menu. It's actually kind of fast. So if you know anything about MPC, or if you used it long enough, you would see this thing. That's the default content thing. So expansions, content, places. And while in the content we have drums, instruments, samples, clips, my files, and splice. And you can see it says internal splice, and if you click a couple times, you can see it flashing the address of the folder up on top. So you can see the drums are in expansions, the Vault 2. The instruments is expansions instruments. The clips is expansion clips. And samples is, for some reason, again the Vault 2. I guess it's, yeah. So also there's a splice and my files. So what can we use from this? We might use all almost all of them. So I would put my drums into the drums folder, my instruments into instruments folder. I would use clips for something else. I don't know, I'll think of what I would use here. And splice for something else. I don't use splice, so I would probably use splice folder for my particular folders. And I've still got these 5 folders for something else. So whatever content I need, I have the access to all those. I don't think I need to copy drums from the vault here, because they kind of double up with the expansions. So I might use expansions and this vault shortcut for something different, and much more usable for my use case, which is which are custom programs that I that I regularly create and make use of. Okay, let's shut it off and let's continue with the SD card. Okay, you can see here how I structure my folders, and I'm copying quite a bunch of expansions. You can see some custom expansions there, or converted expansions, and it would take quite some time to copy them. I'm using 32 gig SD card. I would probably upgrade it. Also, the default internal SD card was in ext4 format, which is pretty exotic if you are not a Linux user. So I'm using exfat, which is compatible with any operating systems, and if I get a bigger SD card, I might just copy everything to a new one and just pop that in, and we'll have even bigger internal storage. Once it finishes its download, I'll pop that into internal slot, and we'll see if I made any file structure mistakes or something like that, and if it works good enough. So also I would like to show you kind of the instruments folder I use, and you can see it's all these are my custom programs, made from different instruments like X-Station, K Technics, K200, Chord Triton, Mini Grand, VST, Maestro synthesizer, and many more. Also, the interesting part is that to use it properly, fast and efficiently, you've got to create preview for every preset there is, and name it accordingly, like name of your preset .xpm.mp3. I use mp3s because they save on data. You don't need to have preview in the highest quality ever. You just need something that's fast to preview and see if it works with your music. So yeah. Kind of like that. That's really fast and effective when you need a bass to throw into your track. Also, I have a convention of naming, which is something I came up with when trying to find a nice system to work with. Also, I need to figure out if I need to double check if upper lowercase would be a problem, but I can fix that when it's on the machine. When using modded firmware, I can access my MPC internal SD card using a program called Forklift, and it just uses Wi-Fi to modify stuff like file names, file structure, etc. Even even sometimes copy stuff, but that'll come in later. Okay, let's put this card into the slot like that, and let's start this thing. By the way, there's a way to customize your splash screen. Sometime later I might do that. So it would be even more like Maya, I guess. Okay, let's try. So the drums. Drums. Okay, it seems like I've messed up the drums folder. Instruments. Splice opens up. Clips. Okay, I've put my drums, I've renamed my drum program to Clips. I need to do some more structuring work. Okay, it seems I've made quite a mistake by placing all of this into root folders, so I need instruments in the expansions. Okay, after some more renaming and structuring, here's what I have. It's content, drums are my drums. By the way, some of them are converted from Ableton Live default set, and some of them I do like, such as 808 core kit is really nice, and yeah, so instrument and drums are most two most important categories. Sometime later I might use clips as something, probably as I don't know, rendered stems or loops or some interesting things. Splice opens up the waveform. I'll have to think about, maybe I'll use Splice for my loops. And Clips opens up programs, so I'll come up with something. But unintended consequence of this placing of the expansions is I have pretty interesting my instruments as separate expansion. Maybe I'll use some interesting cover for my expansion, I would say. But yeah, some of the expansions you might see, and some of the converted as you would say sample CDs are here too, so they are not a good starting point for different styles of music. Okay, No, oh, one more thing. Let's check out if I have. Yeah, I do have. So yeah, everything's working. So you can see the internal structure is expansions, MPC documents. I have a bunch of interesting folders too for things like orchestral libraries and piano book libraries. These are free libraries that you might download and use somehow, because you need to convert them for to be useful in the MPC, but there are tools to do that. As for the orchestra library, I'm trying to convert the virtual playing library. It takes quite some time, but I've got most of the most useful first violin section. That's probably the most useful for me. Tubular bells, xylophone, choir. I just needed the patch to do that, so I've worked on it. Later I would probably do all of the sample libraries, but not now. Okay, I think I'll just turn this off and I'll just put it back together. Nice. One of the most frustrating things about tearing down equipment is that I keep lose track of where the screws go, which screws and where. So we have like 4 or 5 different types of screws, and it just messes up. It messed up. I need to reference to the internet. Probably somebody wiser than me took the photo before he turned down his MPC Live. Let's look. Okay, I think I mostly got it right. Now to the SSD card. Sorry, SSD disk. So first thing is this is how I do it. I connect the disk and later I put on this metal cover. Let's see if it's aligned. Yeah, it is. So I put this metal cover and I try to keep it in place and screw these small screws in. Because if you don't align it, you might do, you might put it first the back plate, but then you'll have a hard time trying to kind of put in the SATA connector, which it's just a small tip. Anyway, let's finish this thing and let's fire it up. Okay, the MPC Live is back in its full form, and let's run it. Okay, we're in our main screen. Let's see what do we have. So we have 2 drives installed. Let's break it down. So internal is mostly full because there's a lot of content there, and we have MPC SSD there too. So that's nice. And as you can see, my previous shortcuts work because they go to SSD, and I have my expansions too. Let's try playing metronome. Yep, it works. Let's try. Okay, you can see it's all working. The previous work, instruments work. Some don't, because they are the kind of latest presets I made, so they don't have previous yet. Yeah, there's a lot of programs there to choose from, and it's nice.